What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Guitar Gear Trader channel. I'm Steve, coming at you as always from Nashville, Tennessee. Boy, did I have a busy weekend. So if I look tired, it's because I am. So yesterday was the Amigo guitar show here in Franklin, Tennessee. For those of you who don't know, the Amigo show is a guitar show that travels around the country from the West Coast to the East Coast. I think it starts over in California, goes to Texas, comes to Nashville, goes up the East Coast somewhere. And every year it hits my town around this time, March 20th, 25th, something like that. And it's a really good show. It's been coming to town for about 5 or 6 years now. I think I went to the first one ever when I moved down here in 2021. And some years are better than others. This year was a pretty good year. Last year was subpar. And I don't know if that's because, the prices were too high or I just didn't find something I liked. But this year just felt a little bit like the people were just nicer overall, I think. And I think that's because maybe I went on day one. It's a 2-day event. And I went for opening on the first day. So I think I got all the sellers, as they were still optimistic about the show and selling stuff. So I think maybe that's why they were a little bit nicer. Usually I go on Sundays, and that's when the sellers are probably fed up with putting up with people trying to rip them off or trying to get good deals. And they just kind of want to go home because they're probably just exhausted and tired. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I had a goal, and I think I set out a pretty good goal for myself, and I think I accomplished what I set out to do. Did I pay a little bit? Yeah. Should I not have paid a little bit? Who knows? Maybe. Whatever. But I'm going to tell you about my story, and then at the end, I'm going to show you video of all the guitars that I took video of at the show. Give you some eye candy for that. I'll put some music behind it and let you see that. But so what was my goal? So last episode, I talked about trading a couple of guitars, or 2 episodes ago, I talked about trading a couple of guitars for 2 Les Pauls. One was a Murphy Lab 3-pickup Black Beauty 57 reissue, and one was a white 1983 Les Paul Custom. So I kept the white Les Paul Custom, and I wanted to see what I could get out of the 3-pickup Black Beauty. And I had mentioned it on that previous show that I was thinking about trading it for a made-to-measure custom shop Les Paul standard. I think it was a 57 reissue, 58 reissue, with humbuckers, with P90 pickups and a Bigsby on it. And I didn't pull the trigger fast enough on that. I was going to do that trade. It was going to be a straight-up swap. And the guy ended up selling it because I really wanted to go to this guitar show to see what they had to offer me before I made the deal with this guy on Facebook. And he ended up selling it the day before the show, and I can't blame him for that. It's no fault of his own. The guy has to do his thing, so I just missed out on it. So I knew that I wanted another Les Paul. There isn't another model that I really need. The only model that I don't have from Gibson right now that I would really like to have eventually is an Explorer, but I don't really play Explorers. I kind of feel funny with an Explorer on. I'm more of a Firebird guy. But I would like one day to have like a nice vintage 80s or 70s Explorer. That would be pretty cool. But it would have to be really the right one and whatever. But I'm more of a Les Paul and Firebird kind of guy anyway. And the reason I wanted to flip this guitar, and let me show you a picture of it so you guys know what I'm talking about. So this was the actual guitar that I wanted to flip and see what I can get out of it. The reason I wanted to flip this was because I have an all-original 1971 Black Beauty with 2 pickups. No Bigsby, 2 pickups. It's all original. It sounds incredible. I just got it refretted, and it sounded great. The reason I got this was because I wanted to have some equity to trade for something else. And also, I always wanted one of these. And when I got it, I liked it. It was awesome. It sounded great. But it wasn't as good as the 71 that I have. And I think I would have just always picked my 71 over this guitar every time. Also, the middle pickup gets in the way, and I never played one of these before. I had the 3-pickup Firebird, like Epiphone, when I was younger, and I don't remember that ever being an issue. But this middle pickup really really got in the way of playing a little bit. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I could have definitely gotten used to it, or maybe even lowered the pickup really low. But it just what the neck wasn't the shape that I really prefer. It was kind of a meaty baseball bat. Not that it was bad. I definitely could have if I would have played it a couple times, I probably would have got used to it. I've played worse. My Les Paul Jr. is roughly the same. But it was a beautiful guitar. But I just thought that it was going to sit on the wall and kind of just collect dust, and I wasn't going to play it. And you might say, Steve, you're insane. Why wouldn't you play that guitar? And then, when you feel really comfortable with a 70, with a guitar you already have, this one being my 71, which has this like flat blade neck on it that just fits my hand perfect, you'd understand, right? And I had, my buddy Al commented on that episode and said, you'd be trading a Ferrari for a Mercedes. And I get his point, right? You're trading, like, this is one of the most expensive guitars you can get out of the standard line in the custom shop. It's like a $9,000 guitar almost. And the one that I would trade for would probably be around $6,000 or $7,000 retail. So would I be taking a hit on it? Yeah, absolutely. I definitely would be taking a hit on it. But it's something that, I got to get the value of what I traded for it. And basically what I traded for this was a custom shop Trini Lopez, right? And a custom shop Trini Lopez only cost me $4,000. So you got to put it all into perspective. Like, what did I trade to get this guitar, versus what I'm, trading, it for, right? So I definitely won out on that deal. Now I did trade a whole bunch of guitars to get those two Les Pauls. But in my opinion, I think I did okay. So we go to the show, me and my brother go to the show, and I'm walking around with this guitar, and there's tons of vendors from all over the country. There's Cream City Music, there's all the Nashville shops are there, shops from Texas and Wisconsin and all Brooklyn, New York, everywhere. And there were some really nice pieces, some really truly expensive, crazy things, some things that were a little bit more reasonable, but there was lots to offer. I was going in there wanting a certain thing. I wanted a custom shop Les Paul with P90s. That's what I was going in there for. It didn't matter if it was a reissue. It didn't matter if it was like a one-off mod shop type of thing. All I wanted was a Les Paul, came from the custom shop, had two P90s in it. I didn't care if it had a Bigsby or not. If it had one, that's fine. Didn't care if it was chambered or not. Didn't care if it was a custom or a standard body shape, if it was ebony board or rosewood, didn't matter. I wanted P90s because I don't have a Les Paul with P90s in it. I only actually have one guitar with P90s in it. Actually, no, two guitars with P90s in it. No, three. Sorry. I have a Firebird, an old SG Junior, and a Les Paul Junior. So I was looking around, and to be really honest, there was not a lot to choose from as far as Les Pauls, custom shops with P90s. They had a couple of standards. They had a couple of newer Les Paul standard reissues. They might even be called deluxes. They're either a deluxe or a standard that have P90s in them. But they retail for probably, $2,600. You can get them on the market for $2,000, and that's what they were being asked for at the show. I would have taken like a deluxe from the 70s or a deluxe pro from the 70s that had either the mini humbuckers or the P90s in them. There were only two of those that I saw at the show. One of them didn't have the original pickups, and the other one, I can't remember what was wrong with the other one. I just wasn't digging it for some reason. I would have wanted a gold top or an ebony one, and the gold top had the wrong pickups in it, and the other one was a cherry sunburst. So that's why I wasn't looking at those. There was tons of Les Paul customs to be had for reasonable prices, right? If you were looking at late 70s Les Paul customs, early 80s Les Paul customs, they were going in the range of $4,500 to $4,800, and all of these guys will negotiate down, especially if you have cash. And I was having a real tough time with two things: one, finding a Les Paul custom shop with P90s, and two, finding someone to give me some money for this guitar or even trade with me for this guitar. I really thought people would really want this guitar. I thought this guitar would be high in demand. Boy, was I wrong. I went up to so many vendors, and vendors call you over. What do you got in the case? What's in the case? What do you got in the case? How much you want for it? And there were some vendors who at least took a look at it and said, what do you want? And I said, well, I think I can sell it on Facebook for $6. What's the best you can do with that? And they were just like, no, thanks. I'm not interested. So I was like, all right, $6 is too high. Start asking for $5. So I started asking for $5. A couple of people thought about it and then passed. And then a couple of people that I said I want $5 for it laughed at me and said, oh, I'm not even close to that number. And I'm like, how are you not even close to that? Like, what are you offering me? $3,000? You want to pay $3,000 for an $8,000 guitar that you're going to turn around and probably sell for $700 or $6,500? Like, that's a little ridiculous. And that's why those vendors were upstairs on the walkway instead of downstairs on the main floor. So you know who you are. You laughed at me. You thought I was nuts. You didn't even let me open the case. And you said I was so far off. And I even think I might have said $4,500 to that guy. And that dude, that's why you're upstairs at the Amigo show and not downstairs. But anyway, I digress. Then there were some guys who were like, what do you got in the case? And as soon as I told them what was in the case, they were like, nah, I'll pass. They didn't even want to hear how much I wanted. They didn't want to take a look at the guitar. They were just like, it has a Bigsby and it has 3 pickups. I don't want it. And even this is a Murphy Lab guitar. Like it's a cat like Al said, it's a Ferrari of Gibsons. But I could not believe how many people were just like, nope, not interested. If it was 2 pickups, great. If it didn't have a Bigsby, even better. They didn't want to touch this guitar. So I'm walking around with my brother. I don't see any P90 Les Pauls. And then all of a sudden I found one. And it was the NAMM show one. It was the NAMM show from 2 years ago, I want to say. Let me see if I can get a picture of it. Okay, I found this one. One person had this one, and this was the 1955 NAMM Show Commemorative Edition Les Paul in Viceroy Brown. And I found this at a table, and it was gorgeous. And this color might look a little weird or funky, but it is really pretty in person. And it's different. It's not your typical Les Paul color. And the guy was asking for I think he was asking $4,500. And he's like, listen, if you get cash for your guitar, he's like, I'll do 42, which means he definitely would have taken 4,000 for it. So I was like, all right, at least I have an option. Right. I found one other one, and I actually walked by this and didn't even see it. I was walking along the top, and I just happened to, walk by a booth, and my brother comes in. He goes, Steve, did you see the 3 P90 Les Pauls hanging up over there? They're all custom shops. I'm like, where? I didn't see any of those. And he took me back, and there they were. There were 3 P90 custom shop Les Pauls. 2 were gold tops, and one had a Bigsby, one didn't. And then there was a black one like this one that you see on the screen with the Bigsby and the cream pickups. Now, this says Gibson Les Paul Custom Shop 56 R6 Factory Bigsby VOS Ebony 2013. The guitar that was hanging there looked almost identical to this, but the knobs were solid gold instead of the reflector knobs. And but it looked exactly like this guitar. And the person who was selling it for $7,000, and it was called the Dealer Select. I don't know what that means. This is the closest thing that I could find to it on Reverb anywhere, and he had it going for $6,900. So I said to him, "Do you think you would do a swap for the guitar I have?" And he goes, "Listen, I don't want to take anything home." He was from Texas. He goes, "The less I got to take home, the better." He's like, "Do me a favor, try to get some money for that guitar." He's like, "I'll do $5,200 for you if you want to do cash." So he went from $7,000 to $5,200, and I was like, "All right, I gotta do something here." So I'm walking around. I finally find this old guy that I've seen every year at this show, and he has the table booth set up, and show him the guitar. He goes, "I'll give you $4,000 cash right now." I was like, I asked him for 45. He goes, "I'll give you 4." I was like, "Meet me in the middle, 42." He goes, $4,000 right now. I was like, "All right, well, I don't think I'm getting any other offers." So I shook hands. I gave me $4,000 cash. So now I got 2 options. I got the Poopy Brown or the Viceroy Brown NAMM one that I could have given $4,000 to the guy, and he would have taken the $4,000 cash, given me the guitar. Or I had the black Les Paul custom Dealer Select one at 5,200, which I was, and here was my plan. My plan was, I'm going to go to the guy with the black one with the Bigsby, the dealer select one. I'm going to see if he'll take 5,000. If he'll take 5,000, I'll do the deal with him. If he doesn't take 5,000, I'll come home with the brown one. And this whole time, you have to hope no one buys these guitars. All right, I've been walking around. The Viceroy Brown one was at a great price for a custom shop Les Paul, especially a limited one that was done at NAMM, which they're sold out of on the website for most of the colors. You just got to hope these guitars are still there when you get back. So I go up to the guy from Texas. I said, "Hey, I sold the guitar. I got some cash for you. Would you do 5 and I'll give you 4,000 in cash and I'll do the other 1,000 on a credit card?" And he said, "Let's do it." So that's what I came home with. I got my black custom shop Les Paul with P90s. It is technically a R6. It's a 56 reissue. It has a chunky neck. It's not too crazy. It has a little bit of a chunky neck on it. But it has that VOS finish, which I really, really like. And if you recall in the last video that I had the Black Beauty on, I said that, even though it's Murphy Labbed and it's made to look old, the finish is still really shiny, And this is light aged. You can't tell. But in the right light, you can't tell at all on the screen. But there is surface checking on this, on the front and also on the back and on the neck as well. But it's very, very, very light. But it doesn't have a very high gloss. It kind of looks like it's been through its paces. My 71, it's all original. It doesn't have a single finish crack in it. But it looks dull because it's, 40, almost 50 years old. It is 50 years old, actually, right? So older than 50 years old, right? So that actually looks older than the Murphy Lab one that's been aged and cracked and everything else and supposed to look like it's from the 50s because it doesn't have much of a shine. That's what the VOS finish gives it. The VOS gives it that less shiny, nitro finish to it. It's a real thin coat of nitro, I think. But now I don't know how to read custom shop numbers. This says 65552. I'm assuming it's a 2015 because it starts with a 5. I'm just assuming that. If anybody knows, please let me know how to read custom shop numbers. I know it's on the internet. I could probably find it somewhere. Or I can look at the pots. Okay, I can look at the pot codes. But I think this is a 2015. And I'm really glad that the guy was nice enough to come down on the price. He came down from $7,000. He was asking $7,000, and he came down to $5,000. But I'm glad. So I did put a little bit of money out. So, I mean, could I have sold that on Facebook? I don't know if people would have. People are not buying stuff right now. Like I go on Facebook every day, multiple times a day, and there are R9s, like beautiful Murphy Labbed R9s, R8s, gold tops, 335s from the 70s just sitting there for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, and no one's picking them up. And it just, boggles my mind to see these guitars just sitting there not being bought. So I don't know how much I would have got for it on Facebook. I probably would have got more than $4,000 for it. And I missed my chance at swapping for that made to measure one, which would have been an even swap. So I did put a little bit of money out. I didn't want to, but I did. But I think I'm happy with this. It sounds killer. Plugged it in. Sounds really good. And I'm glad I got one with P90s. And it's a custom shop, and it plays great. It's very percussive, and it's chambered. So this thing weighs nothing. I should get the scale out and weigh it for you. Okay, I just weighed it. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. So this is lighter than my R9, and it has a Bigsby on it. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty amazing. So I'm happy with it. Don't know if I got the right value for what I traded, but I don't feel like I traded a Ferrari for a Mercedes. I kind of feel like I traded a Ferrari for an Aston Martin. And I think that's still pretty cool because James Bond drives an Aston Martin. So thanks for watching. Stick around. I'm going to play all the video that I took from the show, and I'll put some music behind it for you guys. And I appreciate you guys watching the channel. Let me know what you think. And I got a cool unboxing video coming up next week, so let's check that out. All right, everybody. I'll see you next time. Peace out.